Mhm.
Last year, on April 15th, I was near the Boston Marathon finish line when the bombs went off. I was 40 yards from the first bomb and about 90 away from the second bomb, caught between the two explosions. This experience was one of the most traumatic of my entire life. It felt like being violated and controlled, unlike I'd ever felt prior. When the bombs went off, the first one, all of us around me just kind of stared at it, the first one. We weren't exactly sure what it was. It seemed like it was this there was this white plume that went up, but we thought it might have been some sort of a construction issue. And yet when the second one went off down the road and fire broke out, it was pretty clear what was happening, and chaos just broke out throughout the entire area where I was standing. And I ran as quickly as I could behind me, and I ran past a woman holding her daughter who was wailing, and ran into a pub where people were just walking around, just completely just beyond themselves, uncertain how to deal with what was happening. And people kept saying things like, "What is this, Northern Ireland?" or "This couldn't possibly be happening here in America," as we all looked up and saw the television screen quickly showing the scene where we were at. And we waited there until we were evacuated by the police soon after. What was especially challenging about the experience of being at this attack was the Boston Marathon is, in the running community, it is the most special marathon, the most special race that so many runners work for. I was there to watch my cousin who just finished, and I remember I was practically skipping to the finish line, waiting to greet my cousin and to congratulate my cousin. I remember when before the bombs went off, I remember looking up and seeing a guy reaching out the window and cheering people on, and it felt like everyone was smiling, and there was such this moment of positivity. And yet in 12 seconds, it all changed and became one of the most greatest nightmares in the modern history of America. This experience gave me a deeper sense than I'd ever felt before of what it might have been like to be in Israel during the Second Intifada, where bombs in restaurants and in cafes were far too common. The aftermath of the attack, I struggled with trauma for a significant period of time, working through therapy. I'm a runner, and when I got out and ran, I kept thinking about what had happened. To this day, when I hear sirens, I still think about the sirens that I heard soon after the attack. It changed me, and it gave me a deeper sense of how changed the Israeli public must have been in the aftermath of the Intifada, and gave me a deeper sense of why it's so difficult to take risks for peace. Because I think after you've been through a terrorist attack, your community's been through a terrorist attack, you have a deeper understanding of what's on the line if you take risks for peace. And the experience also gave me, though, a deeper commitment than ever before to counter terrorism through peace-building work.
Thank you. Can I ask some questions?
Yeah.
You talked about the first bombing, that nobody knew exactly what was going on. On
Yeah.
the second bombing, do you remember specific visual things that you saw? It's that you said there was...
Yeah, the first bomb, it didn't have as much of a fiery cloud. It was more just a white dust. But the second bomb, it did have this just cloud of fire that was mixed with the dust. And so I think that's why it felt clear to everyone around us that it was an attack, not just...
How did people react when they understood what was going on?
It was like a rampage. People just started running in all sorts of directions and throwing aside the gates. I remember I put my arms out because I was afraid of being trampled. The crowds were pretty thick throughout the street where we were standing.
Did you look for a place to hide, or did you...
Yeah. There was a few seconds where I didn't know what to do, but I quickly looked to my left, and we were all standing on the street with restaurants pretty close by, and I noticed there was people running into a restaurant, so that's where I went to hide. But
Did you move to Israel now, or are you just here on the program, or are you planning to move here?
I'm just here for the year. I was actually in Israel for a half year learning in yeshiva, and went back for 6 months to the States, and this is when that attack happened. And 6 months after being in the States, I moved back to Israel for this year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.